Is it time?
It is time for us to do what we have been doing, and that time is every day.
We'll know in a very short period of time, but it looks like it could be something that will be not good. Believe me, not good.
I see issue with that. And again, hey.
You're not going to be able to insult your way to the presidency. That's not going to happen.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
I'm Ted Cruz, and my pronoun is kiss my ass.
So when you think about it, there is great significance to the passage of time in terms of what we need to do to lay these wires, what we need to do to create these jobs.
America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to foot him.
Not good. Believe me, not good.
Hello, dissidents. Welcome, one and all, to a special morning due edition of the Due Dissidents podcast. Keaton Weiss here with Russell Dobular.
Hello.
See a lot of you guys waking up with us this morning. That is good to see.
And I stumbled to the kitchen, pour myself a cup of ambition.
Yes. Everybody looks good this morning. 4:31 start in the YouTube and Twitter chat. 4:19 over on Rumble. So hit that like button to get some more people up and in here. Thank you guys all for being here this morning. This is the end of our work week, but a busy day for Russell, who will be mixing it up with the deplorables today at the Donald Trump rally in the South Bronx.
Yeah, I am gonna get a MAGA hat to wear for the next show.
Yeah,
I can finally come out as the Trump-loving MAGA supporter I am.
Yeah, there you go. That'll be a fun time. So you're getting there pretty early for the lineup. How's the weather? It's looking like it's going to rain up here.
We've got an exclusive interview with the Donald lined up before the event.
Yeah.
So that'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure. Sure. They denied us a press pass here. I have possible light rain in the next hour here. Upstate. I don't know how the weather is down there.
Yeah, I don't think here.
They had great weather last night for the MAGA cruise. Beautiful night for a cruise. Yeah,
it was quite lovely yesterday. It was quite lovely.
Yeah,
not that I would know. I literally never left my apartment yesterday.
Yeah,
so I was editing the Cornell video. Then we had the show. Then I cooked some dinner. Then we had another show. So I never went anywhere.
But right.
Today I will be getting plenty of outdoor activity with Jose.
There we go.
Who has promised to be on his best behavior.
Yeah, Jose will not be
we do not need to get beat up by a bunch of MAGA bikers today.
Yeah, right. Exactly. No, well, I told Jose, I said, rather than do an intervention at a Trump rally, because he was considering it. But I told him, rather than do an intervention at a Trump rally, you should pass out literature at a Trump rally because, anti-Democrat Bronx voters, you are as viable an alternative to the Democrats as any Republican is going to be in the Bronx. So maybe not alienate those voters, maybe pass out flyers. Plus, it's really difficult to generate press when you intervene at a Trump rally because they're so big, you get drowned out by the applause. Right. Trump just says, "Go home to mommy," whatever. He says his bullshit thing, and that's it. No one ever goes viral.
Shit beat out of you by a 62-year-old unemployed electrician.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yes. No one ever really creates big moments there anyway. It's too big an events, so it's too hard. So I said, look, you got these voters in the South Bronx who can't stand Democrats. Those are your potential voters, so
absolutely.
Go get them.
That is a gift. If you're running Jose's campaign, it's literally in the district you're running in. Everyone who fucking hates the Democrats in the Bronx is going to be at this thing.
Right, exactly. Right. Yes.
That's a gimme. It's what we call a gimme.
Yep. That's an easy one. All right, folks. Well, we are going to get started because Russell's got to go get on the line in a few hours, but we got plenty of stuff to get to today. This is a morning show, and this is a morning segment. How do you start your day, folks? How does Russell start his day? We all know. Nice cup of coffee. I got my nice cup of coffee here. I ran out to Dunkin' Donuts this morning. I didn't make coffee this morning because I wanted to feed the family before I jumped in here.
Let me tell you, this Buffalo mug is the greatest mug I've ever owned.
It's really a cool mug.
This thing was like made to fucking last. Like they will find this in the Planet of the Apes future where the Statue of Liberty is buried in the sand off the beach. They will find this mug.
Well, you could fill that mug up perhaps with some Rudy's coffee. What's Rudy's coffee? Let's find out about a new brand of coffee that's taking the coffee market by storm. It's the best coffee anyone's ever had. People are saying great things about this coffee. Here's Rudy selling us on his coffee.
I stand by the truth. And you all know I stand by the truth. And if I put my name on something, I truly believe in it. Today, I'm thrilled to introduce you to something I'm incredibly proud of. My own brand of organic specialty coffee, Rudy Coffee. Believe me when I say it's the best coffee you'll ever try. It's smooth, rich, chocolatey, and gentle on your stomach. It's so good, I even recommend drinking it black. It comes in 3 varieties, including what I promise is the best decaf you'll ever have. You can order now by scanning the QR code on your screen or by visiting Rudy.com.
1978. Yeah. 1 cup of this. Little Vaseline right in there.
Right in there.
Coffee. By supporting our code on your screen or by visiting Rudy.coffee. By supporting Rudy Coffee, you're not just treating yourself to exceptional coffee, you're also supporting our cause.
Oh.
The cause of truth, justice, and American democracy. You'll also be supporting the Call to Action nonprofit, which is devoted to helping veterans and first responders. So you can make a difference and taste the difference.
45 cents from every purchase goes towards helping the vets. The rest goes to my legal fees. But we donate 45 cents of every purchase to the veterans. You want to help the veterans, don't you? I love how he tagged that on there. We're like, yeah, we have to donate at least a portion of this to some charity.
Okay, so I remember when the guy in the middle was the mayor of New York.
Yes.
And I must say, if you had asked any of the victims of his Gestapo what their fondest wish would have been for Rudy Giuliani, he of the anal rape with a broomstick police force. And any New Yorker will remember that incident. Yeah, this is probably what you would have wished for, to have an elderly, bankrupt Giuliani hawking coffee for his legal bills.
Yes.
This is beyond the wildest dreams of any Giuliani hater of what kind of vengeance fate might have in store for him.
That's right. That's right. Rudy Giuliani launches $30 Rudy Coffee after WABC drama, bankruptcy case, and legal woes. Smooth, rich, and chocolatey. He's back on the grind. That's a classic New York Post turn of phrase there. Back on the grind.
Yes.
Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani
credit
launched...
where credit is due. They are good at what they do.
Indeed. Yeah. That is a good one.
No one does tabloid better. Their headlines are comedy gold.
Yes. Back on the grind. Former New York City Mayor Rudy Giuliani launched a coffee brand on Monday as he attempts to climb out from a mountain of debt and fight multiple criminal indictments. For $29.99, 2 pounds of the finest beans imaginable can be yours, according to Giuliani. If I put my name on something, I truly believe in it, the 79-year-old said in a promotional video touting his 3 different blends of Rudy coffee. On his America's Mayor Live podcast, Giuliani said the coffee was the invention of mine and Dr. Maria. So who's Dr. Maria? Dr. Maria being his business partner and former WABC co-host, Dr. Maria Ryan, who is also a former New Hampshire hospital administrator. Giuliani was recently suspended from his $15,000 per month radio gig at WABC by station owner John Katzimatidis for over his refusal to stop promoting 2020 election conspiracy theories on the Rudy Giuliani show.
Okay, and just right here, I have to ask, how big a lift is that really? when you're getting paid $15,000 a month and you're getting sued from every side. You can't just stop talking about that.
Yeah. Well, apparently, not only is that, a financial liability, but apparently his spending was kind of out of control throughout this process. People get used to a lifestyle, they can't give it up.
Yep.
It's just like you get hooked on it. Like, okay, so the show was one of Giuliani's last remaining sources of income, according to his lawyers, with the other being his Social Security benefits.
And it's also a way of signaling status. Like once you're in that crowd, you have to keep up with that crowd or you're not in that crowd anymore.
Well, yeah, that's a big part of it. The former mayor filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy last December, a week after a jury ordered him to pay a $148 million civil judgment to two former Georgia election workers. Giuliani was found liable for defaming mother and daughter Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss by accusing them of committing voter fraud while counting ballots in Fulton County in the 2020 presidential election. Aside from the civil judgment, his debts also include $1.4 million in unpaid legal bills, a $700,000 IRS tab, and another $260,000 owed to the New York state tax authorities, according to court filings. He promised the New York bankruptcy court in January that he'd limit his spending to $43,000 per month amid the proceeding. Again, how rich people live. Yeah, I'll keep my budget in under control. I'll only spend $43,000 a month. I'll keep my spending to what the median person takes in after taxes in a year. $43,000 a month, but reportedly blew through nearly $120,000 that same month, according to the New York Times. America's mayor, quote unquote, also alleged to the bankruptcy court that the Trump 2020 campaign and the RNC still owe him $2 million in legal fees for challenging the former president's election loss. Yeah, good luck seeing any of that. Giuliani has been indicted in both Georgia and Arizona in connection with an alleged conspiracy to overturn the election results. Giuliani, who turns 80 on May 28th, was served in the Arizona case during his Palm Beach, Florida birthday party over the weekend. He pled not guilty at the same time he launched this coffee brand. So that label, America's mayor, for those younger dissidents in the audience who may not know, that became his nickname shortly after 9/11. When in October of 2001, just to think of this guy's fall from grace, this guy was the favorite to become president in 2009, in October 2001. Everyone loved this guy just because he made them feel good after 9/11. He was a shoulder to cry on. His horrific record as New York City mayor didn't matter. He was a consoling voice after 9/11 to the point where, yes, he was the favorite at that time to succeed George W. Bush. Now, by the time he actually ran for president, he got nowhere because the Bush brand was in the toilet and he was very much joined at the hip to the Bush foreign policy. That sank him in a way. And McCain kind of emerged as the guy whose heart was in the right place. That's everybody said that about McCain. Even the people who didn't like him. His heart was in the right place.
You're misremembering. All right, so yeah, Giuliani, New York had been governed by Democrats for decades. I think John Lindsay had been the last Republican mayor of New York before Giuliani. And this is the taxi driver New York kind of days, right? So there was this very built up groundswell of support for law and order. Giuliani, in a town where Democrats outnumber Republicans 4-1, was able to win because he had built a reputation as this prosecutor who broke the mob. Now, that was because he was the first prosecutor to really use the RICO Act and so on, but that's a whole other story. So, yeah, man, when he came in as the mayor, he immediately just so greatly expanded the police force. That is his real permanent legacy in New York City. Yes. To this day, our police force would be the world's 11th largest army if it were a military. That was really what he did. He just sent out cops to crackheads everywhere. And yeah, man, the roads were very quickly fixed. and the squeegee men who used to run up. It's one of these minor things that became very symbolic to people of the decay of the city and law and order. Said no more squeegee men. He did all that in his first term, which is why he won a second term. Like, I'm not going to get it twisted. He won re-election. People were happy with what he did. He,
yes,
for better or worse, cleaned up the city faster than you ever could have expected somebody to do.
Well, that was the precursor to the Mike Bloomberg years, right? He was seen as clearing the way for the gentrification
he cleared. Exactly. Yeah. He cleared out all those things. And I mean, that's a whole other thing. He made, I always say, he made New York attractive to a kind of person that never would have moved to New York before. People used to move to New York because they wanted to be the Ramones or they wanted to be Andy Warhol. After Giuliani, and coinciding with Giuliani, it was on the air at the same time, people came here wanting to be the cast of Sex and the City. And they remade it all in their own consumer porn image. And that's why you have the New York you have now. But the second term, he went nuts. Like he cracked down on street artists, hot dog vendors. And that's when the public started to turn on him. He clearly had national ambitions. So he started going after museums for anti-Catholic art. Like, this is New York. It's not Sheboygan. Like, right. They just wanted the potholes fixed and the squeegee men gone. They didn't want you bothering the guy with the colored chalk on the sidewalk doing an inspirational message with a little picture of the Virgin Mary. But he started cracking down on that. Okay, New York was so locked down under Giuliani's second term. This is a true story. I was running my theaters then. I had a beer at the end of the day. I hadn't even had any after that. We have no open container laws in New York. I literally got out of a cab to walk across the sidewalk to my front door with a beer. A cop did a U-turn and came back and gave me the ticket for fucking walking from the door of the cab to my front door with a beer. It's illegal, but it was very obvious these guys were under a lot of pressure to do things like that they had a quota to meet. It's illegal to have a quota, but they very obviously did when you looked at some of incidents like that. 9/11, by the time you get to 9/11, I think Giuliani's approval was about 33% in New York City. And actually, he made a lot of decisions that made 9/11 worse. Like, he was warned not to put the NYPD's command center in the towers, right. But he did. All of that just went away. Yeah. But he was purely a media creation. Nobody looked at his popularity in New York City. They just decided they needed to have this figurehead of New York resistance and resilience of New York. Completely rehabilitated him. And but the reason he really got nowhere in the New York primary, in the Republican primaries, was look, as much as he was a right-wing anti-crime, law and order kind of a figure, you can't be all that culturally conservative and get elected the mayor of New York.
Yeah,
so
he did run into that too, yeah.
He had been in drag on Saturday Night Live. That became a big thing in the Republican primary. His stance on abortion. He had officiated at a gay friend's wedding. The kinds of things that are a problem for you as a Republican with the fucking wingnuts that vote in a Republican primary. Those things came back to bite him, and that was it.
Yeah, no, that definitely hurt. Yeah, absolutely. I remember the drag thing on SNL. That was a big thing too. But yeah, what a fall for Rudy hawking that $30
nobody
coffee.
Ever could have seen this. Like, if you had asked somebody in the 90s what Giuliani's future would have been, they probably would have assumed at the very least he'd be in a presidential cabinet.
Right.
Maybe an attorney general one day. Yeah. That's what people would have imagined. Maybe the Supreme Court.
Right. No such luck there. All right. We got a couple items to take care of here. 1,083 in YouTube chat and over on Rumble 931. Thank you guys for being here. We are without Jake this morning, but we are with Jake's app, so you can send Rumble Rants if you got them. Nancy JB114, thank you. Good morning from rainy Fishkill, New York. Right from my old neck of the woods. Grew up in Newburgh, lived in Beacon for a while. Very close to Fishkill. Thank you, Nancy. Appreciate that. Yeah, I heard a rumor that black kids in the Bronx don't know the word computer. Yeah, got that from the governor. That's the word on the street.
Well, because nobody plays the record player for them.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Okay, we got here Dan. Thank you for the $4.99 here. Off to New Orleans. My first trip. Got the swamp and graveyard covered. We'll stay clear of pizza thanks to Russ's recommendation. Any suggestions?
All right. Yeah. The swamp tour, I don't know which one you're taking, but that is fucking cool. I imagine they all pretty much do the same thing. And yeah, you kind of got to do the graveyard tour. For food, I will tell you, this is part of what's disappointing now. It's become such a tourist town. Just like New Yorkers don't go to Tavern on the Green because the food sucks. Because the food doesn't have to be good. They're just relying on tourists going in there one time. They're not right. Their business model is not about repeat business. It seems like it's kind of gotten that way in New Orleans, where it's much harder to find good food than it used to be. That having been said, there's a place called Mother's that has not changed. You get the sandwich with resin. That's their specialty. It is a slow cooked beef cooked in spices over 24 hours until it breaks down basically into a gravy. That shit is real good. Just check your your cholesterol and your heart before you go there. And of course, the really famous places, the food is still good. Antoine's. If there's one of those very high-end old New Orleans restaurants to go to, I would say go to Chef Antoine's.
All righty. There you go, Dan. Enjoy the trip. Gouache 911. Thank you for the $4.99 super sticker. Appreciate that very much. All right. We'll do some more Rumble Rants and Super Chats in a little bit.
And the seafood's pretty good at Felix's if you don't want to break the bank.
There you go. All right. Let's go to segment number 2. This is a segment we've been wanting to do for a while. It's a quick one, but a fun one. I love this, guy. So you know how Israel is the bulwark on the world stage against anti-Semitism, right? The idea is that they're fighting anti-Semitism. No, I'll tell you who's fighting anti-Semitism. The guy we're about to show you in this video. This guy is really out there fighting anti-Semitism. This is a contender for Dissident of the Week here. So this is one video entry of what I guess became a minor TikTok trend. So I'll play this first part here.
In the world, how am I supposed to walk the street?
As a Jew in the world, how am I supposed to walk the streets? I don't know who this person is, but this apparently started a TikTok trend of Jewish people teaching Zionists how to safely walk the streets. So let's hear from a New York Jew, coach her on how to walk down the street as a Jew.
As a Jew in the world, how am I supposed to walk the street?
Hey everybody, New York Jew here, and today I'm going to teach you how to walk the streets of New York, okay? Because, some of you might not be feeling safe. So what you got to do, in case you forgot, you take your right leg and you walk forward like that, and you take your left leg and move like that. And then we're walking. Here, walk with me. Let's go try this out. All right, today we are in Little Palestine. As you can see, I'm walking around just fine, all right? I'm around tons of Palestinian people, and clearly as a Jew, so it's all love here. It's all peace and love. What up, baby? What's going on? Assalamu alaikum, man. You doing a video right now? Yeah, doing a video. Yeah, just showing them that's all love out here. That, there's always love for Jews and Palestinians. We don't mess with Zionists. It's a big difference. You want to get some shawarma? Hell yeah, let's do it, baby. Free Palestine all day.
There you go. That's how it's done. See, that guy is fighting anti-Semitism. This is a great, don't judge a book by its cover story because, look, I'll be honest with you. I kind of profiled against white people a little bit when we were out canvassing for Jose. Not that I wouldn't approach a white person, but if there were like 2 black guys and 2 Hispanic guys and a white person and I can only talk to one of them, there's no way I'm picking the white person because mathematically they're much less likely to be sympathetic. Just stats, folks.
Fair.
Right?
Fair.
Especially, the New York outer borough, there's a certain stereotype about, like, working class outer borough New Yorkers being very reactionary, pro-cop, tough on crime, anti-terrorism in this case, And this guy really looks like that, but is totally not. What a great guy. What a great guy. What a funny guy. And, yeah, this is how you fight anti-Semitism. This is how you fight anti-Semitism.
Jew
this
here.
guy,
And today
New York
I'm
Jew
going to teach
here.
you how to walk the streets of New York, okay? Because, some of you might not be feeling safe. So what you got to do, in case you forgot, you take your right leg and you walk forward like that. Then you take your left leg and move like that.
That's how it's done. That's how it's done. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and especially because he does code so working class and down to earth, you're undermining another stereotype.
Right.
That, all Jews are accountants and lawyers and doctors.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Exactly. He is the working guy who could have been from your neighborhood or my dad's neighborhood growing up. And a lot of them, have sort of reactionary politics generally as a rule, but not this guy. So you want to break certain stereotypes, you want to prove that people shouldn't judge a book by its cover. Great job by this man here. And
well, that's it. The Jews that are fighting anti-Semitism are the anti-Zionist Jews who are speaking out against Israel.
Yes.
Those are the ones fighting against anti-Semitism because we are putting the very important message into the conversation. Judaism and Zionism are not the same thing. Zionism is doomed to go down in history as one of the horrible crimes against humanity, as being responsible for crimes against humanity, and anything connected to it is going to have a stain on it, and it's unavoidable that Judaism is going to carry that stain the way Germany will forever carry the stain of the Nazis, as long ago as that may be. Germany, Nazis. It's as soon as it's together. Yeah, Jews and the crimes of Israel are going to be joined in the public mind forever now. All we can do is fight to tell people, hey, man, that was one thing and Jews are another. Judaism is not Zionism. In fact, in terms of the religion, it's antithetical to Zionism. According to Judaism, they're not supposed to be there.
Yep. And he even puts it that way here.
It's all peace and love. What up, baby? What's going on? Assalamu alaikum, man. You doing a video right now? Yeah, doing a video. Yeah, just showing them that's all love out here. That, there's always love for Jews and Palestinians. We don't mess with Zionists. It's a big difference. We don't mess with
Zionists. Big difference.
Let's do it, baby. Free Palestine all day.
Free Palestine all day. There you go. What a guy. Glad we were able to finally do that one. We put that off for a while because it's sort of evergreen, and there was a lot of news this week, man. This was a fast news week. Some news weeks are slow. Some news weeks are fast.
Taibbi just dropped an article complaining about there being too much news. I think
this week there was really too much. I felt like some weeks there's not enough, and some weeks there's too much. But yeah, this was definitely one where there was way too much to keep up with. Quintessential, EU countries say they back ICC, not EU countries back ICC. Easy PR, useless in real world. My guess, ICC gives them an out. EU can point to ICC UN all day without pressure on USA, which is scary.
Well, you know why?
Yeah, I figured you'd want to say that now.
Yeah, so Norm, the other night, everybody else was asking him about the ICC, so I didn't want to just ask him the same question. So I talked to him about the Cornell campaign since we were at the Cornell campaign rally, such as it was. So I didn't ask him about that, but I did listen to his answer. Yeah, I don't know his name off the top of my head. Khan there?
Yeah.
He said he's a tool of the West, and this is an empty gesture. And in the end, he'll back down and say, well, or the judges won't go through with
they won't issue the
warrants, and he'll say, well, we tried. He feels like it's a big game, that this is less than it appears.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, anything's possible. I don't know what the turnaround time is, like when they're going to get an answer on this, but that's certainly something to look for. All right, folks, here is a story. Let's do one more here. Listening to you from Machakos, Kenya, away from Philly. Wow, loving this. John, my two favorite JOOs for Keaton, half Jew, LOL. Keep it up. Keep it banging. Thank you. And enjoy Kenya. Enjoy your trips. When you say away from Philly, I assume you live in Philly and you're over there now. If so, enjoy the trip.
Wow.
If you live there, enjoy Kenya. Yeah, that's great. Bonzo Beans found the perfect brand for my daily coffee enema. There you go. There you go. Oh, man. What a guy. Okay. I'll put this over here. Copy, paste. It's a me, Sarah P. Thanks for the $2. I seriously thought the start of the Rudy segment was a new sponsor. Yeah, you thought we were going to start selling coffee? I would sell coffee.
We've talked about it.
I would sell coffee.
We even have names. We have Keaton's Kona and Russ's Rainforest Rape.
Yeah, I think you should go with Rainforest Romp rather than Rainforest.
You don't think everyone wants to rape the rainforest, no?
Oh, you mean like raping the rainforest?
Yeah.
Like an anti-environmental
Yeah,
statement.
what do you think I meant, you sick fuck?
Yeah, I thought you meant, raping in the... Yeah, I think you should probably steer... I would say Rainforest Romp.
All the married guys, man, their minds go...
Yeah, right there. Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, it's my mind that interpreted the word rape in a negative way.
Rainforest. You're raping the rainforest to get the coffee.
Yeah, no, I didn't really get that. No, that didn't translate for
me. You're saying we need to workshop it.
Yeah, I think that needs a little workshopping. What do you guys think in the chat? Do you think that needs a little workshopping?
I mean,
think
Harvard Business School, they do tell you that rape is usually not a good brand name for anything.
Yeah, it's usually not a great brand name.
But I don't trust Harvard.
If we made our own coffee, because some shows have their own coffee, like the Quartering Guy does his own coffee. I think Quiet Horse Coffee would be a good name for a coffee brand. Quiet Horse Coffee. That has a nice ring.
And look, Jeremy, maybe the most talentless guy to have achieved success on YouTube. If he's able to sell coffee, we can sell coffee.
We can move some coffee. We had a whole coffee sweepstakes. We have a lot of coffee enthusiasts in the audience.
That guy has the personality of a wet sock.
Yeah, exactly. We can move some coffee. All right. We are going to move on now to segment number 3. All right. This is really a case of pretty outrageous journalism malpractice here. So this is a story from the Dispatch, which kind of summarizes this a little bit, and then we have some receipts that we can show.
Actually, you know what? I think Rebel Tomcat nailed it there.
What's that? Scumbag douchebag coffee. Yeah, right. Exactly. There you go.
I think we got it.
All right. So here's segment number 3. This is an article from the Dispatch, which kind of summarizes this case of egregious journalistic malpractice by Newsweek. We do have some receipts that we're going to show from this, but it's hard to gather receipts because Newsweek did, I think, about 4 or 5 edits to an original story, which claimed that Tucker Carlson had launched a show on Russian state TV. So the article here, Newsweek claims falsely that Tucker Carlson is launching a show on Russian state television. The Dispatch writes, on May 21st, Newsweek's Brendan Cole reported that Tucker Carlson had launched a show on Russian state television. You can see the tweet with the headline there on the official Newsweek account. Tucker Carlson launched a show on Russian state TV. Quote, the former Fox News anchor is presenting the program. This is from the Dispatch, quoting the Newsweek article. All right, forgive how complicated this is. It's complicated for a reason, because Newsweek had to go in and mangle this article a few different times because they kept lying, basically. The former Fox News anchor is presenting the program Tucker on the rolling news channel Russia 24, with the first episode now available online, the story reads, citing a report by Rossiyskaya Gazeta, a Russian state media organization and the Russian government's paper of record. The paper said that the show is part of a joint project with Carlson TV in which he will interview figures and politicians who have alternative views to the mainstream. According to Rossiyskaya Gazeta, Carlson's show is available on Russian streaming site Smotrim. via the state-owned news channel Rossiya 24. See, this ought to prove to you guys that we are not paid stooges of the Russian state, because we don't know how to pronounce any of these words. This is the first we're hearing of them, right? If I were on the dole,
that's
then,
part of our act.
Yeah, or that's part of our act. You decide. Newsweek's claim is false. Representatives for Carlson and the Tucker Carlson network have denied involvement in the broadcast, and Newsweek's article has since been updated. Rossiya 24 has been publishing dubbed versions of Tucker Carlson news programs, or Tucker Carlson network programs, pardon me, since at least September 2nd, 2023, when it made available a translated version of Carlson's August 29th interview with Hungarian President Viktor Orban. Following its publication, Newsweek's initial article garnered significant attention, leading to quick denials from Carlson and TCN. A representative for Carlson told The Hill Tuesday evening that any use of our content by that channel is without legal permission, and TCN CEO Neil Patel rejected that the network had any agreement with Russian state media. So here is Neil Patel. The Tucker Carlson network has not done any deals with state media in any country. Whoever is currently pretending to be the old Newsweek brand would know that if they had checked with us before printing like news companies are supposed to do. Yes. Carlson made a similar denial to CNN's Hadass Gold, claiming that the Newsweek story was all fake, obviously, like most stories in American news. So she tweets out, Tucker Carlson tells me there is no partnership with Russian state TV to air his show. It's all fake, obviously, like most stories in American news media. Of course, I have no partnership with Russia. The first I'd heard anything about this was this morning. Following the denials, Newsweek updated its article substantially and acknowledged Carlson's denials. It also changed the story's headline from Tucker Carlson launches show on Russian state TV to Tucker Carlson show aired by Russian state TV. So there's the first headline. And then after the update, it says something different. So there's a huge difference, obviously, from launches show on Russian state TV and aired by Russian state TV. What obviously happened was Russian TV downloaded his videos off of X, which anybody could do. We've done it to show them on our platform. Sure. They dubbed them in Russian and they put them up on their site without telling him about it. Right? That's a very, very easy thing to do. That is not hard. It's not expensive. So anyway, this was the intro paragraph of the first article. So this goes with the headline, Tucker Carlson launches show on Russian state TV. So the first way the article started, and this is courtesy of archive.is, the Wayback Machine, which has some edits archived, but some edits are not archived because they made so many, not all of them were archived. But this was the first one. A show from former Fox News anchor Tucker Carlson has reportedly appeared on a Russian state television channel for the first time. Again, this is way late. I mean, the first time they put one of his dubbed episodes was last September. Carlson is presenting the program Tucker, which is broadcast on Russia 24. The first episode and other clips from previous months are now available online, Russian state newspaper Rossiyskaya Gazeta reported. So once they made the edit, once they changed the headline to this headline, this is how the article then started. The CEO of the Tucker Carlson network has rejected claims in Russian state media that the former Fox News anchor had made a deal for his shows to appear on Russian television. The claims appear to have originated with the program Tucker, which is broadcast on Russia 24, but comprises old episodes of Carlson's shows taken from X, formerly Twitter and YouTube, complete with a Russian voiceover. Okay, so Greg Price tweets out, shortly after that update there, Newsweek has now updated their headline and added an editor's note stating that Tucker did not, in fact, launch a show on Russian TV after Tucker Carlson Network CEO Neil Patel rejected their claim and said Newsweek didn't even reach out to them for comment before publishing it. If you're a conservative and fell for this fake news, congrats on failing today's IQ test. And he posts a screenshot from Newsweek. This was the first correction. So they did an update. This article has been updated with additional information. Then they did a correction at 1:10 p.m. This article was updated to make clear there is no evidence the Tucker Carlson network has done a deal with Russian state TV. All right? Now, the most recent edition that I could find, both on the site and archive, didn't even have that correction in there. It simply says now, update 5/21/24 at 1:45 p.m. This article has been updated with a statement to Newsweek from Dean Thompson. Who the hell is Dean Thompson? Well, you got to read the article. Dean Thompson, head of programming and production operations at the Tucker Carlson network, later told Newsweek in a statement, the story of a Russian show is totally false. Any use of our content by that channel is without legal permission. So the most recent edition on the site doesn't even have the correction saying, hey, we totally bullshitted our readers on this from the outset. Greenwald tweets out, the original Newsweek headline predictably went viral, claiming Tucker Carlson has launched a new program on Russia state TV. The edited article now makes clear the whole story is bullshit, false, but it was an irresistible McCarthyite smear, which, of course, it was, and it was effective to a certain extent. Apparently, all the high-profile people, like the Bill Cristols and stuff, who retweeted this, they apparently took it down because I couldn't find anything from any, like, blue check accounts. But, yeah, some of the libs, oh, not surprising. I'm not surprised. Totally a bullshit story. The fact that if you get something that egregiously wrong, you should not even issue you should issue a correction within the story, but you should issue a formal retraction as its own piece, being like, this was wrong. Because what Greenwald says here is absolutely true. Most people don't even read the fucking article. They see it, they retweet it, they think, oh, he's working for the Russians now. And there was never any evidence of that. It's the easiest thing in the world to download a video off the internet, dub it, and post it as an embed link or whatever on your site. And that's clearly what they did. And the barest amount of research and follow-up or follow-through would have let Newsweek know that this was not a real story, but they ran with it anyway.
I thought the most damning thing about this story was that they did not do the most basic journalism 101 thing. They did not call the subject of the article for comment.
Right.
That's how this happened. If they had just how do you run a story like that without contacting Tucker Carlson or his producers to ask them for comment? That really demonstrates how far the news media has fallen in its just basic journalistic standards after 2016. And that's what Taibbi has written so much about, how at that point they made a decision that they're not journalists anymore, they're activists.
Right.
Everything is fair game now. And if you're attacking the right people, you don't have to do journalism. And that's the result. That was, my understanding has always been, if you work at a place like Newsweek, that's just, it's just standard practice, no matter who the article is about, that you're going to contact the subject for comment before you go to publication. That's incredible that they didn't do that.
It is incredible that they didn't do that, especially since they got so greedy with the smear. So in other words, they went for the full-on McCarthyite smear, which is he's launching a show on Russian state TV. The libs who are the target readership for this article would have been fine had you done a smear job without overtly lying.
Sure.
You could have said, Russian state TV features Tucker Carlson episode on their network.
Sure.
Right? Because that accomplishes your goal of smearing the guy as pro-Russian without lying and saying
Russians appear to be supporting Bernie Sanders.
Exactly right.
They never said Bernie Sanders meets with Russians.
Yeah. Why are Russians dubbing Tucker Carlson episodes? Isn't this proof that he's a useful idiot for Russia? That's what they call Tucker all the time. Like, you could still smear him that way if you feel you have to make a few bucks without overtly lying. And saying that he's launched a show on Russian state TV, which not implies, that states he has made a formal arrangement with Russian state TV and is now doing a show for them. And not only was there did they not follow up with Tucker, but it makes no sense anyway, because if you looked at the content that was on Russian state TV, it was his Twitter show that was dubbed. It was his Twitter show. It's not like he was creating new content for them. Like, any amount of research would have led you to realize, oh, wait a minute, this is wrong. And you could still call him a useful idiot if you want to, get a few ad dollars off of that. And, they do that. They've been doing that for years. They've been doing that for years. But they took it an additional step of, no, let's just say he works for them now.
Yeah.
Even though we have no way of corroborating that whatsoever.
Well, and then these same people will go and write all of these hand-wringing articles about how the ignorant public doesn't trust the media.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And people need to be better educated.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Just incredible. Incredible. All right. Let's see here. Old Stoner, Keaton, one of your best traits is the ability to see flaws in yourself. It's a rare thing. Never lose it. Yeah, that's probably my best quality.
You've never eaten with him. It's like a fucking barnyard animal. I've tried to tell him about it. It doesn't do anything.
Well, he says oh, you mean in that way? Yeah. Yeah. As a late 90s transplant, says Ranger Biker, Hell's Kitchen from the West Coast, the power of propaganda from NYPD Blue cannot be overstated. That show presented the flavorful NYC that outsiders wanted to be true. Interesting. That's interesting. I was too young to watch that show, but
I like that. I like that show.
Yeah. Rebel Cat Tom. Are you related to Rabbi David Weiss, Keaton? He would be a great guest. He protests for Palestine.
Yeah. No, I've wanted to invite him on forever. Yes,
well, I'm not
should
related.
Get on that.
I'm not related, but maybe I could tell him I am. Maybe that'll help get him on the show.
Maybe you probably. We're all related.
Yeah, that's true.
The Jews.
We are all cousins, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, call it scumbag douchebag coffee, DD. Yes, Russell featured that before. Thank you. Call it 2 Jews coffee or a cup of Jews, not a cup of Joe, a cup of JOO. That might be fun. See, we got brainstorming going on, so we could definitely launch a whole line of coffees under the Quiet Horse brand, right? I think all of these ideas, these could be different roasts, right? You could have the scumbag douchebag dark roast. You could have the, the 2 Jews donut shop blend, right?
Okay, look, I workshopped it.
Do a product line.
The non-consenting rainforest blend.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Say moving. Yeah, not exactly what I had in mind, but there you go. That was great when the Palestinian jumped into the frame and exclaimed, "Boo!" Yeah, they worked that out good. That was an effective video for sure.
Hey, let me just comment on somebody with one of the best names on here. Yeah, man, believe me, you're preaching to the choir. I did not mean to imply, I'm very happy with what Giuliani did. When I was thinking about moving out of New York, people said, aren't you going to miss it? I said, I've missed New York for 25 years. What would the difference be? I miss it now. No, he destroyed New York. And one of the best quotes about that I saw was, this is about Bloomberg. It was actually, I think, a Daily News writer who said it was the 10th anniversary of 9/11. And it said, on 9/11, 2001, terrorists attempted to destroy New York City. This led to the election of Michael Bloomberg, who did destroy New York City.
Right.
But Giuliani was very much as John the Baptist.
Yeah, that was the prologue.
Bloomberg finished what Giuliani started.
Yes, indeed. No doubt about that. Folks, if you like what we do here, you can become a sponsor. People thought we were going to sell coffee. No, we don't sell coffee. We don't do any of that stuff. You are our sponsor. So if you would like to sign up to become a paid sponsor of the Due Dissidence program, and by that we mean a member at patreon.com/DueDissidence, DueDissidence.substack.com, or DueDissidence.locals.com. Patreon, Substack, and Locals. Signing up for just $5 a month gets your name up in lights here on the supporter scroll. It also gets you call-in access to our post-show Q&As, which happen every Sunday on Rumble. You also get 2 bonus streams per month. That's right, 2 bonus supporter live streams per month. We did one last night. There was a lot of fun. We heard from a lot of you guys, met a couple of you guys for the first time. And so that was a great time had by all on our supporter stream last night. So if you want 2 bonus episodes of our show per month, you could sign up for as little as $5 a month and you get all that. You also get live stream access to our live show in New York City. So we're going to be live streaming our live show in front of a live audience in New York with Jose Vega, Tusker, and Jesse Jett. Those are going to be a lot of fun. Those are in just a couple of weeks, less than 3 weeks away. So, if you want to have streaming access to that, you can sign up. Those shows are sold out, but you could still sign up and get live stream access to those live shows, Patreon, Substack, or Locals. DoDissidents.locals.com. If you're watching on Rumble now, click the join button underneath the video player. That takes you to our Locals page. Thank you all very much for your support. Ava.
Thunderstorms here, by the way.
Oh, yeah?
Supposed to end around noon, though, so it should not affect our Dear Leaders rally.
Yeah, no, it shouldn't. Yeah, it's drizzling here. No thunderstorm here, but a light rain. Ava, Session 7, says, hey, Russell, when you're in the UK again, check out Dishoom, excellent Indian food, and Cora Pearl in the Theater District, traditional fusion.
All right. See, now that's a reasonable suggestion. Don't tell me, oh, this place makes the best jellied eel. I don't want to hear that fucking shit.
This place makes the best jellied eel. Yes. Blarg, Ali Abanima from Electronic Intifada yesterday. Great breakdown of the shortcomings of calls for Palestinian statehood by Ireland, etc. Thank you. I got to add this. I'm originally from a Muslim country, and I can guarantee you the anti-Semitism is all due to Israel's treatment of Palestine. The irony is the racist tropes are inherited from the West. Thank you, Dan. Okay, we got, let's see here. MSM News always gets it wrong, says Wendy Melly. Thank you for the $5 over there on Rumble. Appreciate that very much. All right, we got segment number 4. Russell, this is yours.
Okay, so, hey, here's a little bit of a feel-good story. The kids are figuring out a way to get back at their influencer overlords with what has come to be known as the Digitine, the digital guillotine, and why TikTok is blocking big-name celebrities. Now, I just got to say, I like Zendaya, but she's kind of become the face of this Met Gala for... I think because she looks, if you look at this picture, this looks so much like a scene from the Hunger Games. Just the outfit that they put her on. I've seen the hashtag District 12 attached to this picture, and it very much looks like that. The Met Gala is home to the biggest night in fashion, and on the first Monday of every May, the world's biggest stars strut up the steps of the Metropolitan Museum of Art in New York City at the event curated by Vogue editor-in-chief Anna Wintour. But this year, like many others, the annual fundraising event for the museum's Costume Institute became a battleground in the American class and culture wars. As the cost of living balloons and simultaneous deadly international conflicts continue, the reported $75,000 price tag for a ticket to the feat already rubbed some on social media the wrong way. Then came the viral TikTok. Influencer and model Haley Khalil turned heads for a video using a TikTok sound that muttered, "Let them eat cake," a slogan commonly associated with French Queen Marie Antoinette, who was central during the social unrest of the French Revolution in the 1700s. Much like Antoinette, the internet wanted off with Khalil's head, and a slew of other influencers and A-list celebrities from Kim Kardashian to Taylor Swift. The now deleted video kickstarted a digital movement called the Digitine, a digital guillotine urging social media users to block celebrities in a modern-day eat-the-rich social movement. All right, so the original video did get deleted, but everyone grabbed it and attached it to their own videos. So this is just one of the places that the original video got featured.
Let them eat cake.
That was an interesting choice by your marketing and PR team. They finally said let them eat cake out loud. You might have just unlocked the rage of millions of people, and I would suggest looking into how that story ends.
It's just amazing. Like, people think of the Met Gala as a let them eat cake type of thing, and to just like say it out loud, it's just like, it's kind of wild.
I can just imagine the team that came up with that. Oh my God, you know what'll be amazing? Let's just say let them eat cake in the middle of Fifth Avenue. It'll be everyone will be talking about it. It'll be crazy.
Yep. They were right in that sense.
They were right. They definitely, and actually, I didn't bother to feature it because who cares? But the model here put out an apology video because she wants to have a career. I got to say, I see her as basically a victim of her team. Like, what the fuck does she know?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
What does she know? They threw her in an outfit and told her to do this.
Right. If she weren't attending the Met Gala, if that were just like an ironic piece of performance art, it may have actually worked.
Yes, if somebody were commenting on the Met,
right?
But no, like her apology.
If AOC did that, she should have done it.
Well, this article, I didn't bother getting into it because it's a whole other thing. The article kind of gets into the AOC thing and past movements. The Guillotine movement appears to have been the brainchild of one user, Lady from the Outside, who responded to Khalil's let them eat cake comments with a message of her own. The video has garnered 2.5 million views and nearly 600,000 likes on the platform. So we do have that. The rallying cry, the Danton, the Marat of the Guillotine, Lady from the Outside. We'll take it back to the top.
Let them eat cake.
It's time for the people to conduct what I want to call a digital guillotine, a digitine, if you will. It's time to block all the celebrities, influencers, and wealthy socialites who are not using their resources to help those in dire need. We gave them their platforms. It's time to take it back, take our views away, our likes, our comments, our money, by blocking them on all social media and digital platforms. And I think the first person that we should all focus on is Haley here. Haley Bailey, for your ignorant decision to attend the $75,000 ticket Met Gala and recite "Let them eat cake" while you have done nothing with your 10 million follower platform as people are starving and dying, we sentence you to the Guillotine.
How many did she lose?
Her, I don't know. Kim Kardashian lost 3 million. That's the only actual number that the article gives because she wound up getting named in this. Right. No, what I really like about this is it has expanded to celebrities who are not speaking out about the horrors of this moment generally.
Right.
In an apology video, Khalil addressed the controversy and said she was not invited by Wintour to attend the Met Gala. Instead, she said she was stationed at the Mark Hotel, a hotbed for celebrities ahead of the night's red carpet festivities, as a host for entertainment outlet E, covering hotel exits and creating content. Karen Fragoso, an online activist who has worked professionally in influencer marketing and, quote, grew up idolizing the Met Gala, first got involved in the digital guillotine movement after Khalil's video went viral. Fragoso's own video about Kardashian losing 3 million followers on Instagram in recent weeks has garnered over 1 million views so far. Quote, it's like, oh, you're an influencer, but you're not like us. You pretend to be, but you're going to the Met Gala. And that's when we were all like, okay, we as a people need to unite. And I know all of us are in different places of the world. So we said, we're together virtually. Fragoso tells USA Today about her frustrations. I actually watched her video. She doesn't talk like that. While the movement is gaining momentum, some users are pushing back on the digital guillotine efforts as a second wind of cancel culture. And all of them attended the douchebag dialogues. Quote, it's going to take a lot more than this to change the world around you. You cannot do things that are simply inconvenient or uncomfortable. You're going to have to do things that are downright painful, one TikTok user said. Quote, Nobody owes you anything. That's my point. Just because somebody doesn't speak on a topic and you're upset about it, it's cancel culture 2.0, another TikTok user added. All right, that is a really R-word take. It sounds like you're kind of a free speech person. Well, boycotting is part of free speech, isn't it?
Right. So
is it what they're not even going after their employers, right? They're just saying, "Hey, I am not going to follow you anymore."
Well, this is the thing. So bottom up boycotts are not cancel culture. Cancel culture is when a handful of people in positions of wealth and power decide to turn off a switch on your access to a platform, right? Or when your employer shit cans you. Someone who has power over you exercises that power against you because of what you think.
Right.
And the numbers here matter. Canceling is when a small group of people with outsized power decides they're going to turn the lights out on somebody, right?
Will
Censoring
someone
them,
please think of the wealthy influencers?
Exactly.
Will someone please think of the Kardashians and what this is doing to them?
When 3 million people decide, you know what, if Kim Kardashian doesn't have a word to say about the horrors of our time, I'm not going to drive her income with my engagement on social media, so I'm just going to not follow her. That's not cancel culture. That's popular will. That's popular opinion turning against somebody.
I mean, frankly, I think a day is going to come when people in that position are going to look back on the days when it was only an expression of digital hostility very fondly. But the person who says here, this isn't enough, you're right, but you're creating a cultural atmosphere for more.
Right.
That, obviously, just unfollowing someone on TikTok, you can't say, well, my job here is done, right? Of course, there's a lot more to do, but it's something. It's something to do, and it should definitely be encouraged. But Fergoso says blocking celebrities is crucial for social change because it carries an economic impact. Exactly. That's all these people care about. You're hitting them in their wallet. She added that blocking is important because brands look at an influencer or celebrity's number of followers and engagement data before choosing to partner with them to promote a product. She added that folks need to eat the rich and tax the rich because the elite need to know that they can't get away with everything. Here, my sister. I'm sorry for making fun of you before. She really doesn't talk like that. Okay, so this whole movement as part of this has inspired people to make videos themed same planet, different worlds. And everyone cuts in images of the Met Gala. Now, there's a particular song that everyone uses for these that's copyrighted, so we took it out. But even mute, it's pretty powerful. Let's start it from the beginning.
To those listening on the audio version of this podcast, we hope you're enjoying this brief moment of silence.
Meditate.
Yeah. Meditate.
So these are images of the horrors of Gaza intercut with the decadence of the Met Gala. So hey, man, these are all very, very hopeful signs. Some people feel like culture is a distraction, and as you all know, I don't agree with that. I think you can be overly focused on culture, but culture and politics are inseparable, and I think it's important to have a change in the cultural timbre if you want to have any chance at having a meaningful political change.
Well, yeah. I mean, look, and I think this is part of why people don't watch the Oscars anymore. I think this is part of why people don't invest in, celebrities as much as they used to. I mean, there are a lot of reasons for that, but I think one of them is that this is really a situation of same planet, two worlds, right? Like when their reality is so different from the reality of the average person, it becomes very difficult to feel any sort of connection with them. That's why I never watched like shows like Downton Abbey. I mean, my wife's a big fan of that show, and I always say it's like watching fish swim in a tank to me. Like, I feel so disconnected from them as people. I can't even enjoy it as entertainment because it just feels so foreign to me. You know?
Well, you know what I felt was indicative of a kind of foreshadowing of where we're getting now. Believe it or not. Now, so Mark Kermode is this famously vitriolic film critic in England. And he did a what maybe his best work was his review of Sex and the City 2, in which he actually sang the Internationale during the video. And if you look at the reviews, everything that people were savaging that movie for was completely on brand for that franchise. And I read in that there's a sea change here, where something that just celebrates this kind of empty, decadent, shallow display of wealth just doesn't play the way it did in the 90s. People are starting to find this very distasteful. And right around the same time was when, I've mentioned it a couple times, you have the Dark Knight Rises, which in the end reinforces the establishment message. The revolutionary turns out to be evil and Batman has to come beat him up, right? But hey, look, you start to get these class overtones that you never saw overtly, where Catwoman's at the grand ball. It was right around the same time as Sex and the City 2 came out. She says, one day you and your friends are going to wonder how you ever lived so large or thought you could live this way and leave so little for the rest of us. And that was the beginning. That was the beginning where you started to see in culture a change where people started. It was just the beginning to question this. And this is now a more mature manifestation of people just having no patience for these people anymore. You saw it during COVID when the celebrities dropped that Imagine video and got savaged for it because they still think that they represent cultural leaders.
Right.
That was the mentality. They thought, well, people are going to look to us.
Right.
And it was quite the opposite, because everyone's first instinct was, you're not living the pandemic that I'm living.
Right.
Don't pretend we're in this together. We're not.
Right. Exactly. Jackass whiskey and pinto beans. As a contrarian, I am confused to be on the side of Israel. As a contrarian, I will continue to support Israel. So you're gonna take the bizarro position. Thank you, Jackass and pinto beans. Non-consenting rainforest blend. I'll have that. Yeah, that sounds good. You like that? Like that idea? Kenman, thanks for the $1. James Carville going to show off his bald, bad built, not so butch body at the convention. Yeah. Yes, that'd be a good diss for him. Back from the road, even if he did sign a deal for his show to play in Russia, why is that bad? Well, their statement was, I mean, I wouldn't care either way, but their statement was that that he had a deal with Russian TV. The clear implication of that article is that he's producing a show specifically for Russian state media. So, I mean, like, I personally wouldn't give a shit, but that would be a story. They had no story. That was just a completely fake story. That was a situation where they downloaded an episode off Twitter and redubbed it and posted it. Anybody can do that.
All right. Not that I want to encourage John to Emily, but I just want, Jimmy's married, and Steph would probably take exception to that.
Yeah. All right. Let's go here. Predator. Okay. Just copying and pasting this into the Rumble rants here. Nocturnal Human. I guess I should mention by now, I'm not on the scroll. I've been on Locals for a few months. Okay, I will take a look at that and have Jake update that on Sunday. I'll have to do a Locals check for that, because some of the Locals guys are saying they're not on that.
Russell is incredibly wrong again. The rejection of celebrity culture started way before. Okay, so we're not talking about 6 people in a coffee house. We're talking about this as a mass movement. I mean, yeah, there was some discontent, but nothing like now.
All right. Kona Coffee sounds awesome. My favorite coffee. Russell, I get the premise, but keep up the great work. Thank you. Pennsylvania Jeff. There we go.
Well, you're talking about Keaton's Kona.
Keaton's Kona. Yeah,
hey, that was mine too. So, I mean, you win some, you lose some.
Russell thought of Keaton's Kona. Yes, indeed. All right. Let's take a look at some international news here. Big news. When did this break? Did this break? I think late Tuesday night. But anyway, big news here. Norway, Ireland, and Spain say they are recognizing a Palestinian state in a historic move. Norway, Ireland, and Spain said Wednesday they are recognizing a Palestinian state in a historic move that drew condemnation from Israel and jubilation from the Palestinians. Israel immediately ordered back its ambassadors from Norway and Ireland. The formal recognition will be made on May 28th. The development is a step toward a long-held Palestinian aspiration that came against the backdrop of international outrage over the civilian death toll and humanitarian crisis in the Gaza Strip following Israel's offensive there. In Jerusalem, meanwhile, a far-right government minister paid a provocative visit to a flashpoint holy site sacred to Jews and Muslims. National Security Minister Itamar Ben-Gvir visit to the Al-Aqsa Mosque compound, which Jews refer to as the Temple Mount, was likely to escalate tensions across the region. Norway was the first to announce its decision to recognize a Palestinian state, with Prime Minister Jonas Gahr Støre. I'm sorry, don't know if I pronounced that right. How do you say the O with the line through it? I don't know that one. Støre. Yes. Støre. Says there cannot be peace in the Middle East if there is no recognition. By recognizing a Palestinian state, Norway supports the Arab peace plan, he said, and added that the Scandinavian country will regard Palestine as an independent state with all the rights and obligations that entails. Several EU countries have in the past weeks indicated that they plan to make the recognition, arguing a two-state solution is essential for lasting peace in the region. The decision may generate momentum for the recognition of a Palestinian state by other EU countries and could spur further steps at the United Nations, deepening Israel's isolation. Norway, which is not a member of the EU but mirror its moves, has been an ardent supporter of a two-state solution between Israel and the Palestinians. In making his announcement, Irish Prime Minister Simon Harris said the move was coordinated with Spain and Norway, and that it was a historic and important day for Ireland and for Palestine. He said it was intended to help move the Israeli-Palestinian conflict to resolution through a two-state solution. Harris said he thinks other countries will join Norway, Spain, and Ireland in recognizing a Palestinian state in the weeks ahead. Spanish Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez, Spain's socialist leader since 2018, made the expected announcement to the nation's parliament on Wednesday. He had spent months touring European and Middle Eastern countries to garner support for the recognition, as well as for a possible ceasefire in Gaza. He has said several times that he was committed to the move. We know that this initiative won't bring back the past and the lives lost in Palestine, but we believe that it will give the Palestinians two things that are very important for their present and their future: dignity and hope, Sanchez said. This recognition is not against anyone. It is not against the Israeli people, Sanchez added, while acknowledging that it will most likely cause diplomatic tensions with Israel. It is an act in favor of peace, justice, and moral consistency. So I just want to take a short pause right there. So the most significant part of this so far, I believe it is here on slide 2 or 3, the fact that Israel has withdrawn its ambassadors from Ireland and Norway. So, there are people who are not for a two-state solution. I'm not for that. I'm for one state with equal rights for everybody. And so in that sense, you can argue against this, that this is milquetoast. The key here is that it's forcing Israel to isolate itself.
Yes.
The more Israel isolates itself, the better. The long-term goal of a two-state solution versus a one-state, I know this sounds very strange to say, that's almost neither here nor there at this point, because Israel's not going to agree to anything until they are forced to agree to something. Exactly. And the way they're going to be forced to agree is by them further isolating themselves. So right now, for the time being, any move that forces them to ostracize themselves is a good move.
Yep. They are used to being able to get in a snit and have people say, "Oh, sorry, Holocaust, you're right. You're right, sorry. We didn't mean to in some way signal anti-Semitism and Holocaust. That shit ain't working no more. When you game this out, because also in this article they say they expect other EU countries to join them soon.
Right.
So what does that do? The more of these EU countries, and certainly I would imagine you're going to get a wave of Latin American countries that are going to recognize a Palestinian state. China, I'm surprised they haven't done it already. At that point, U.S. policy is going to be the oddball policy. And Israel is going, because what's naturally going to follow from that are economic sanctions, just a de facto refusal to do business with Israel. That, on top of consumer boycotts, that country is going to be destroyed at the same exact time that you start to have an empowered and recognized Palestinian entity.
Right.
What this entire thing is we're starting to see the shape of how this is going to backfire on Israel and how it is backfiring on Israel. And if you game it out far enough, what they fear, they're absolutely right. Once you have a supported and economically and politically stable Palestinian entity there, recognized by the world, their days are numbered. It's just like South Africa, man. The more conscious and aware people become of what the situation is in Israel, you just cannot run a racist apartheid state in broad daylight like this anymore.
Exactly.
And it's going to lead to their dissolution.
So the article continues. Israel's foreign minister, Israel Katz, ordered Israel's ambassadors from Ireland and Norway to immediately return to Israel. He spoke before Spain's announcement. Ireland and Norway intend to send a message today to the Palestinians and the whole world. Terrorism pays. That's his statement. He said that the recognition could impede efforts to return Israel's hostages being held in Gaza and makes a ceasefire less likely by rewarding the jihadists of Hamas and Iran. He also threatened to recall Israel's ambassador to Spain if the country takes a similar position. Go ahead. Do it. Take your ambassadors out of everywhere. That's what this is about, right? One by one. Regarding the Israeli decision to recall its ambassador in Oslo, Gar Stor, as Russell says, I think that's a safe bet, said, "We will take note of that. This is a government with which we have many disagreements. What we agree on is to condemn Hamas's cruel attack on October 7th. Palestinian President Mahmoud Abbas, speaking after Norway's announcement, welcomed the move and called on other countries to follow. In a statement carried by the official Wafa news agency, Abbas said Norway's decision will enshrine the Palestinian people's right to self-determination and support efforts to bring about a two-state solution with Israel. The head of the Arab League called the step taken by the three European nations a courageous step. I salute and thank the three countries for this step that puts them on the right side of history in this conflict," Arab League Secretary General Ahmed Abulghait wrote on the social media platform X. Turkey also applauded the decision, calling it an important step toward the restoration of the usurped rights of the Palestinians. The Turkish Foreign Ministry also said the move would help Palestine gain the status it deserves in the international community. So the more Israel
does
feels,
Turkey recognize the Palestinians as a state?
I'm not sure. You're talking about at the UN?
Yeah. Well, I mean, have they already taken the step that Ireland and Spain and Norway are taking? Has Turkey already recognized the
that I'm
Palestinian
not sure
government?
I'm not sure of. I would assume, based on that statement, that they probably have, but I don't know that for a fact. I don't know if anybody in the chat knows that.
Who has recognized?
Quite a
Palestine
few countries
as a
already
state?
have. Quite a few countries. The list of countries that have already recognized them as a state is quite long. So my guess is that Turkey would be on that list. I would certainly bet on that.
Yeah, I don't see how they could praise them for doing it if they haven't done it.
Yeah, exactly. But the response when Israel says how angry they are and how they're going to withdraw ambassadors from Spain next, if Spain does it, well, go ahead. Do it. That has to be the answer. And that's why this is significant. Yeah, everybody in the chat saying yes. So yeah, we'll go with that.
We have the best people.
We have the best people. We have the best people. But yeah, I mean, that's a big move for that reason. The more Israel feels a need to withdraw from the international community, the better the short-term outcome, in the sense that they will be isolated and weakened. And long-term, obviously, that gives a sovereign and recognized Palestinian state more leverage in any final negotiated settlement, which is our line. Well, yeah, Palestinian freedom, sure, that has to be negotiated, though. Okay, well, if we're going to do this that way, then you have to do everything you can to increase the negotiating power of the Palestinian entity. So if that is recognized as a state, that gives them more power going into whatever that negotiation will be. And the more Israel isolates itself, diplomatically and economically, the less bargaining power they'll have.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. So, hey, this is kind of a good news day, as news days in the middle of a genocide go.
Yes, indeed. Not a bad not a bad news week, as weeks like this can go.
Yes. You got Julian, you got recognition for Israel.
Yeah. Yes. Yep. Indeed. So yeah, it's funny, what did we say? We said when they started smearing the campus protesters, we started saying, oh, isn't it a drag that now we're back to square one in terms of the public debate? We had moved on from all that. We had won the argument. Morning Joe was criticizing Israel on the airwaves. We won, and then the Israel-Iran airstrike swap happened, and we were back to square one. And what do we say? Well, we're just going to have to win the debate again. We won it the first time. We could win it again. Looks like we have won it again, right? I mean, it looks like, and you notice how much quicker we were able to get public opinion back on our side. Look at how much less time it took this time than it took last time, right? Because
and now they don't have
school's out. They don't have the kids
I
to
was
smear
just going to
anymore.
say,
right?
I was just going to say, school, as Alice Cooper might say, school's out for the summer.
Exactly. So the easy target of the blue-haired woke college kid who they have such hatred for, to the point where they would rather side with a genocidal power if it means dunking on the wokesters, right? But the fact that they don't have them as a punching bag anymore means, well, that's one less arrow in their bushel. Is that what you call it? You call it a bushel, right? Quiver. What's a bushel? Bushel is sticks, right?
Yeah.
All right. So quiver. That's the word I was looking for, not bushel.
Yes.
All right. Almost landed that one.
Didn't quite stick the landing.
But you get the idea. Predatory, thanks for the $2. People will always tell you shouldn't protest. No tents, no blocking traffic. We can't even block Kim Kardashian. So any protest is inherently wrong. Remember this. Yes. Yeah. Don't block Kardashian.
Hang on. Gene's given us more thorough information on this. Among the G20, Argentina, Brazil, China, India, Indonesia, Mexico, Russia, Saudi Arabia, South Africa, and Turkey. All right, so China already has. Okay.
Yeah, isn't the list I think the list is like over 100 countries. It's just none of the major Western powers.
While 9 countries. Okay, so Australia, Canada, France, Germany, Italy, Japan, South Korea, the UK, and the US have not.
Right. Yep.
Thank you, Gene.
Thank you, Gene. Appreciate that. Let them eat cake is a mistranslation. The people couldn't afford bread. Cake was a reference to a brioche.
I've heard that.
Yeah, that makes sense. Come on with the coffee, Team America. Fuck yeah. There we go. Where is that? Do we have that song? Yeah. America! Fuck yeah! Awesome. Thank you, Michael Castillo. Appreciate that. Turkey recognized Palestine, 1988. Thank you, Kenman. Appreciate that very much. Let's go to Eric Rousseau. Remember the show Lifestyles of the Rich and Famous, hosted by Robin Leach, 84 to 95.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know it. I was too young to watch it, but I do know of it. Yes, indeed. Let's see here. Hollywood lost me a long time ago, says Jeff Rose 71. Made my decision to cut cable and actually read more. I actually thank them, Pennsylvania Jeff.
I'm about to once I recover the Donbass here in my apartment next week. I plan on rearranging things so that I don't have a TV in my bedroom anymore.
Oh, there you go.
Partly for that reason, because then I'll read myself to sleep.
Oh, yeah, that's a good idea. That is a good idea. All right, we're going to go on to a related story somewhat to the three countries, Ireland, Norway, and Spain, recognizing a Palestinian state. This story has to do with the ICC request for arrest warrants against Netanyahu. European countries signal support for ICC after arrest warrant request. France and Germany were among the European nations to show support for the International Criminal Court after its prosecutor applied for arrest warrants against top Israeli and Hamas officials on charges of war crimes and crimes against humanity. In a statement Monday, France's foreign ministry said that the decision over whether to issue arrest warrants rested with the ICC's judge. France supports the International Criminal Court, its independence, and the fight against impunity in all situations, the statement read. Germany, a staunch ally of Israel, described the court as a fundamental achievement of the international community, but it expressed reservations that the decision to apply for arrest warrants against both Israeli and Hamas leaders gave the false impression of equivalence. So there you go, parroting that line, which we talked about on the last show. Nevertheless, Berlin reaffirmed its support for the ICC.
My uncle was a Nazi, but I am not.
Yeah, right, exactly. Yeah, basically. Nevertheless, Berlin reaffirmed its support for the ICC. Germany respects its independence and its procedures like those of all other international courts. See, so this is a way to apply. See, the other good thing about this ICC arrest warrant, assuming it's handed down, is that it applies pressure not only to Israel, but to a country like Germany, which has been so subservient to Israel for all these years. Well, now they're stuck between a rock and a hard place, because now they either have to disavow Israel or the ICC. And the Germans don't really want to do either one for pretty obvious reasons, right? Their history really puts them in a bind when it comes to that question. It's a lose-lose situation, right? Belgium's and Slovenia's foreign ministries also issued statements welcoming the arrest warrant applications, saying that those responsible for war crimes in both Israel and the Palestinian territories should be prosecuted. All four countries are parties to the ICC's founding charter, which would require them to execute arrest warrants on their soil if judges approve the prosecutor's request. It's unclear whether the country's show of support meant that they are willing to execute arrest warrants issued against Israeli leaders in their territory. The statements differed in tone from those issued by the United States, Israel, and Britain. Neither Israel nor the United States is a member state of the ICC. The prosecutor has requested arrest warrants for Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. In a statement Tuesday, Gallant said the state of Israel is not a party to the court and does not recognize its authority. Secretary of State Antony Blinken called the decision to apply for the arrest warrants shameful, and he reaffirmed the United States' stance that the ICC does not have legal jurisdiction over the conflict in the Gaza Strip. A spokesperson for the British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak called the prosecutor's request not helpful in relation to reaching a pause in the fighting, getting hostages out, or getting humanitarian aid in. Final slide here. The prosecutor has requested arrest warrants for Yoav Gallant and Netanyahu. Oh, no, sorry. That was the whole thing. I apologize about that. I copied it 2 times. That's what happens when you prep a show at midnight.
I actually cut, when I was reading through your slides, I cut one for you.
Oh, okay.
On another story,
yeah. Occupational hazard of the old Clopen, doing the patron show the night before and doing this today. Had a bit of a repeat error there. So, pardon that. But, so now you're talking about the ICC ruling coming down and Germany feeling not good about the arrest warrant. Like, they don't like the fact that they're being put in this spot, but you are putting them in this spot. Don't forget, Nicaragua sued Germany at the International Court of Justice for enabling genocide. So now you face a decision in Germany. Okay, we're uncomfortable with the fact that this ruling is coming down, that this warrant may be handed down. Assuming it is handed down, what do? Do they withdraw from the ICC to protect Israel? Because they're not going to be comfortable doing that either, right? I mean, their history really obliges them to avoid genocide, and they're pretty bad at doing that. But if you force them to make a decision, okay, are you going to protect Israel? You can't both protect Israel and remain a member of the ICC. Which is it, right? That puts a pressure on them. that's long overdue. And so you see now, and then obviously you had the base takes coming from, what were the two other ones? Belgium and Slovenia, who said, yeah, they show up here, they're not leaving outside handcuffs. So it really is a situation where the world sentiment has turned much quicker than it did the first time, the first round.
Yes. Well, I think with Germany, what gave them the room to maneuver here is the fact that the ICC and the ICJ are perceived as a response to the Holocaust. So they were able to side with the institutions that were created to avoid another Holocaust. In that way, they could take a position against Israel without bringing up icky feelings about siding against them.
Right, exactly. What they're saying is we don't love the ruling, but we respect the jurisdiction of the court and the independence of the court. So then on the question of, okay, well, will you enforce an arrest warrant against Netanyahu? If the ICC issues a warrant for the arrest of Netanyahu and Netanyahu wants to come make a speech in Germany, are you going to tell him you can't come here because we'll arrest you if you come here? Because that's what they're going to have to do if they want to stay in good standing with the ICC. So now you're forcing them to make a choice, right? And that's a good thing. Now, as far as the ICC goes, the prosecutor, Kamir Khan, created a viral moment on CNN when he sat down with Christian Amanpour and said that he was told by a senior elected leader in a country, and he would not name the person or the country, but this is what he said they told him about his steps here seeking an arrest warrant.
This situation, unfortunately, lies on the San Andreas fault of international politics and strategic interests. And of course, I've had some elected leaders speak to me and be very blunt. This court is built for Africa and for thugs like Putin, was what one senior leader told me. We don't view it like that.
Silly prosecutor, laws are for black people and Russians. Laws aren't for white people.
Wow.
Laws aren't for white countries.
Wow.
Yeah. Yep. Let's hear that one more time.
Some elected leaders speak to me and be very blunt. This court is built for Africa and for thugs like Putin, was what one senior leader told me. We don't view it like that. This court is the legacy of Nuremberg. This court is a sad indictment of humanity. This court should be the triumph of law over power and brute force. Grab what you can, take what you want, do what you will, and we're going to simply be we're not going to be dissuaded by threats or any other activities, because in the end we have to fulfill our responsibilities as prosecutors, as the men and women of the office, as judges, as the registry.
Wow.
And Norm, like I say, he was saying this guy is a tool of the West, and this is all a show. I don't know. We should really have him on to talk about this, because
I would love that.
The fellow seems serious to me. Hell, man, it was fun interviewing him in outside. I'll go out to Coney Island, man. We'll go down to the boardwalk and talk about this.
Yeah. I mean, could you imagine telling a prosecutor that? Could you imagine? I mean, he won't say who told him that, but he says a senior leader, right? And look, most of the countries with little to no power on the world stage are against Israel in this. So when he tells you a senior leader, this is someone who we know who they are. This is a recognized person, right? Not some Anthony Blinken henchman from somewhere that we've never heard of. This is coming from a place of power. This court was set up for what was the exact? It was African.
This court is built for Africa and for thugs like Putin. Was what
Africa and thugs like Putin. Wow.
If I had to guess, because it doesn't seem like something a white leader would say, I'm gonna say Sunak. That's gonna be my guess.
Yep. That is a decent guess. I think that's a fair guess. But you talk about a global order losing any moral legitimacy it may try and cling to. You tell the prosecutor at the ICC, no. Your court is set up to crack down on people we don't like.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Right. Well, so and this is my question. Obviously Norm knows a lot more than we do. I'm sure there's history of decisions the courts have taken that he's basing that analysis on. But hey, man, sometimes people change. Sometimes people decide to do the right thing, especially in the face of what we're seeing in Gaza, because he certainly seems serious to me.
Yeah. I mean, the question is, are they going to hand the warrant down?
Which I assume is just not his row to hoe, right?
Right.
I mean, that's in different hands.
Yes. And I think they will. Todd S. ICJ will release ruling on additional measures against Israel tomorrow at 3 p.m. Okay, good. Thank you for that.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
Wow, that was fast. I thought this was going to be one of these things that would get handed down in a few months.
Yeah, no, that was pretty quick because there was a hearing. Wow. When was the last hearing? I think it was like a couple weeks ago, something like that. Maybe even a week ago. I feel like it was pretty recent. But thank you for that. Jews always overthink. I like Jews that take action, i.e. Israel, the contrarian. Thank you. MTV celebrity deathmatch idea. Thanks, John Mango. Amal Clooney versus Seinfeld's wife. Yeah, there you go. That would be pay-per-view, indeed.
I mean, that is an idea that could save Hollywood.
Yeah, that would put some asses in the seats for sure. Zaldivar, instead of coffee, scumbag, douchebag, tea bags. There you go.
That's actually pretty good.
That is not bad.
Get teabagged by a scumbag douchebag.
Get teabagged by a scumbag douchebag. The state of Palestine is recognized by 143 countries. That's the number. Yeah, I knew it was quite a few. I didn't know the exact number, but thank you. Yeah, it's recognized by a lot. All right, let's go to Ranger Biker. I think we got this one already. This is a repeat. I was a late 90s transplant to Hell's Kitchen from the West Coast. The propaganda of NYPD.
Yeah, you did that one before.
Yep. My new home of Columbia, says Back from the Road, is opening an embassy in the West Bank. Israel's becoming more isolated by the day. Oh, that's news.
Oh,
we should cover that. We should definitely cover that. I knew they cut diplomatic ties with Israel over this. I didn't know they were doing that. That's great news. GHU81, China and Turkey have already recognized Palestine as a state a long time ago. China recognized Palestine before they did Israel in 92. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay.
And 143 countries recognized Palestinian as a state. Thank you, GHU. Appreciate that very much. Sparky. Bushel is around 10 gallons of produce, such as corn. That's right. Yeah, sticks are measured in fascistic bundles. Yes. Yes, thank you, Sparky. Here we go. If you hail, says the jackass whiskey and pinto bean contrarian, if you hail the ICC as a governing body, you will become a lapdog to non-elected functionaries. Thank you, jackass and whiskey and pinto beans. Appreciate that very much. All right, folks, we got one more segment on the morning before Russell hits the road to Magaland, New York City. So that is, where is that at? Crotona Park?
New York's most popular strip club for those looking for a good hate fuck.
Yeah, right, exactly. Folks, here's an election endorsement that is sure to shock the political landscape here. All bets are off in 2024 now that John Bolton has made his endorsement for the 2024 race. It's the same as his secret vote in 2020. Let's see who he's got on his mind for November.
It's on the 2020 election that's obviously obsessing Trump because he can't admit that he lost. Will cost Republicans at the ballot. I think people want to move on from 2020, even most Republicans, although they don't seem to realize it. So this concentration on what happened in the past, I think, will work to Biden's advantage, and he's unpopular enough. He desperately needs it.
And you've said you're going to write someone in November.
That's what I did in 2020, and I'll do it again this November.
Who did you write in 2020? You've never revealed that before.
Well, I might as well say it now. I voted for Dick Cheney.
Wow.
And I'll vote for Dick Cheney again this November.
That's why I've always said Bolton is really anti-establishment, man. That guy goes his own way. Wow.
Dick Cheney. I voted for Dick Cheney. Listen.
Now I voted for Dick Cheney. And I'll vote for Dick Cheney again this November.
You'll write in Dick Cheney.
That's right.
What made you write him in?
Because he was a principled Reaganite conservative, and he still is. Age is no longer a factor in American presidential politics, so his age doesn't disqualify him. And
Isn't he on like his third pig heart or something like that? How many heart transplants does he have?
And Beelzebub is holding up his end of the contract. Dick Cheney will live to be 200, according to the terms of
true.
Under which he sold his immortal soul.
That's true. That's true. He may have virtual immortality as far as all of us are concerned. So that's a selling point.
I think he'd do an immensely better job than either Trump or Biden.
What about his daughter, Liz Cheney?
Well, I like Liz a lot, and maybe someday she'll get my write-in vote too. But right now, I'll stick with her father.
People should know that's news right now. You've never revealed who you wrote in 2020 before.
Well, I hope it sways the electorate and prevents both Trump and Biden from being the successful candidate. And if I could start a nationwide write-in campaign for Dick Cheney, maybe I should do that.
Do that. That would be great to watch.
Okay.
I would love to watch John Bolton go on a unity ticket campaign with Dick Cheney. Yeah, we can all come together behind arguably the most hated political figure of the last 50 years.
I gotta say, ever since she kind of came out of whatever lab they made her in, Katie Collins, is that her name? She creeps me the fuck out, man. Like, when they finally decide they don't need to pay talent anymore, they can just generate an AI hologram, it will be indistinguishable from her.
Yeah.
She just does not seem human. She really seems like, okay, this would be the first generation of Westworld androids.
Come to think of it, maybe we should have checked to make sure this video is not AI. Maybe we got fooled again.
maybe we did.
we fell for another trap.
She just does. There's something really just artificial and inhuman about her.
Well, she did break some news there. She did get a scoop. And
she got a scoop.
That's a scoop.
Well, 1,000 monkeys type for 1,000 years, they'll get a scoop.
Yeah. Just quite the endorsement. So there's no one else. No one else can do the job. Like, let's say you have those kinds of political ideas. Why wouldn't you run? I think John Bolton is more popular than Dick Cheney. Like, you pick the least popular figure of the last 50 years as an alternative to Trump and Biden.
Well, this is the world these people live in. I mean, it's a world divided between Donald Trump, who has the temerity to occasionally say mean things about them, while essentially pursuing the same policies that every other Republican president pursued economically and militarily. We talked yesterday with Anya about the coup attempt in Venezuela, which she claims he was kind of dragged along for, which makes sense to me. Like, what the fuck does Donald Trump know about Venezuela? Yeah, I'm sure that's true, but the end result is the same. And that's too much for them. That's too much for them to have this guy who occasionally says shit that embarrasses them. And they've all just unified on the other side of that line. You remember when Dick Cheney came to visit Congress? Yeah, everybody's being very nice to him.
Yeah, when he was sitting in the crowd there, yeah.
Yeah, we were talking about that yesterday. Democrats love that image. See, this is what America's about. Yeah. They love seeing a fucking Darth Vader, just horrific figure like Dick Cheney get rehabilitated. They love seeing that redemption. They love rehabilitating George Bush. And as we were pointing out, man, the left is the same way. All day long they love it if Alex Jones says something they agree with. They go crazy for that.
Right.
Meanwhile, if somebody who basically agrees with them on everything says one thing out of bounds, that's it. We can't deal with that person anymore. It's I don't know why. The right really doesn't do that. The right generally just has a blanket ban on leftists. Period.
Yes, that is true. They do tend to, fall in line at the end of the day. I think, on the left side of things, I think there's a lot more I mean, look, left infighting is, foundational to left politics. Right. I mean, Marx and Engels fought. They would get drunk and fight. You know what I mean?
Sure. But what is this thing where like people generally, even left, like not liberal left, they just love finding common ground with right wingers.
Well, I think in this new space post 2016, I think part of what has unified the right and fractured the left was that the right actually won and the left lost. Right? Winning and gaining power. What
winners? Right? Yeah,
what would the left look like now had Bernie actually won? Right? Because that's something we don't really think about. Like, let's say Bernie were allowed to win the presidency and he won, and you had average run-of-the-mill Democratic functionaries who we despise now forced to advocate for him in a general election because he's at the top of the ticket, right? Like, what would that look like? Like, would we be more tolerant to those people now?
Though. They wouldn't have done it.
I'm right. That's what I'm saying. But in that world, like, we can't even really imagine what that would look like because the pursuit itself was doomed from the beginning, just from a structural standpoint. Whereas, when you're Trump, the biggest problem they have with Trump is apparently that he's a big pain in the ass. That's what I asked Anya yesterday, because that's what it sounded like to me. Like, we have to sit this guy down and explain why, no, you can't get along with Maduro. We have to prop up this fake puppet government. And, Dick Cheney, for example, wouldn't need a talking to. He would already know what to do. He shows up to work. He knows what his job is, right? Trump, they have to hold his hand through it, and they have to, hold their breath that he's not going to go off the reservation and do something that they don't want him to do. Now, seems like they were able to keep him under control for the most part, which is, I think, why ultimately he was allowed to win and why they were backing him in 2020 and why the party is mostly behind him in 2024. This Bolton, set is just this ridiculous sort of fringe, almost relic of the old days. I mean, you have Bill Kristol going, like, it's that school. It's the holdovers who would still say, yes, I approve of George W. Bush. George W. Bush left office in 2008 with a favorability of 22%. These are those people. It's them who, after 8 years of Bush, they're still on board with that. They're the ones most offended by Trump, which is why the liberals have welcomed many of them back into their fold. And
it really shows you how much there is just this elite class universe that is really that big club that we ain't in, because you have these widely despised figures who, between their board seats and their investments and their media contracts, these guys are very rich and sitting on CNN when nobody respects them, nobody agrees with their point of view. And this is part of why they're so out of touch, such that I'm going to support Dick Cheney. Yeah, that's a popular position. It doesn't have to be popular. That position makes sense in their bubble of privilege and wealth.
Yes. Yeah. And there's so much privilege and wealth in that bubble that whatever the people in the outside world think of me doesn't really matter. I mean, John Bolton, Dick Cheney, Bill Kristol, these are the least popular people in the country. These are the people who are reviled by the left and even much of the right. Like, a lot of the Trump right can't stand these people either.
Right.
Trump said one of the biggest mistakes he ever made was hiring John Bolton. Now, what I say to Trump is, if you're a serious person, how does that guy even get through the door at an interview? Never mind in the cabinet or whatever the hell he was. How do you even let that guy through the door if you're serious?
Well, that's what everybody said about Trump. He was very intellectually lazy, easily bored, easily distracted. He didn't really know anything, and he didn't really care that much.
Right.
He likes going out and doing a Rodney Dangerfield bit for a crowd, as I will hopefully witness personally today.
Yes, exactly. Now, here's what a ghoul John Bolton is. Chris Matthews, anti-socialist, anti-progressive Chris Matthews. When Trump hired Bolton, Chris Matthews said, this is the worst thing he's ever done. Mm-hmm. Now, in other words, that was so bad that it even broke the Trump derangement syndrome of a guy like Chris Matthews, who's on board with all the Trump derangement syndrome bullshit. This was at the height. This was after all the Russiagate shit, after all the campaign stuff, after Charlottesville, after everything. He says hiring John Bolton's the worst thing he's ever done. That's from MSNBC meathead Chris Matthews. That's how much that shit cuts through even the most brainwashed mind. And this guy, I wrote him in. I wrote in Dick Cheney in 2020. I'm going to do it again.
Yeah, I'm really delving into a lot of American history and the history of the revolution. I'm going to probably incorporate a lot of that into what I have to say at the Jose fundraiser. And, you got to be careful how you say things like this in East Berlin. But, there's been a movement to really discredit the revolution based on its flaws and its contradictions. And I think that's a grave error. That's a grave mistake. The American Revolution was good enough for Castro to take an interest in it. It was good enough for Mao to take an interest in it. It was a fucking successful goddamn revolution. It was a successful overthrow of a colonial power. Because they owned slaves as people of their class at that time did. It's not worthwhile anymore. I mean, you'd have to throw out most of the political thinkers in history if you're going to hold them accountable for their sins and the sins of their society.
Yeah, so there was an article. I'll send it to you. Sorry, go ahead.
So that I dismiss out of hand. But when you go and you look at the ideas of the founders, I mean, Jefferson said if he had to join a political party to go to heaven, he'd rather not join. I mean, they're very much against the kinds of institutions that have taken over our government. And this is why I say it's a mistake to ignore it. One of the most powerful appeals you could make across party lines is an appeal to patriotism grounded in the country's history and its founding. And there is a lot in that founding that is useful to a revolutionary project because that is what it was. You need to go back to that and make an appeal based on it to overthrow this system.
Yeah. Now I'll send you there's an article that came out a few years ago. I forget in what magazine. It's some left-wing outlet in defense of the American Revolution. I think you'd like it. Maybe that's good research for your speech. Nice dick duster on John Bolton. Thank you, my real name. Appreciate that. Darth Cheney didn't sell his soul. He never had one, says my real name. Thank you for that. Nocturnal Human, Bernie Sanders sent me a text a few days ago. What the hell's going on? Did this freeze on me? The banner froze on me here. There it is. Nocturnal Human, Bernie Sanders sent me a text a few days ago, literally just selling his book. I still get texts from Democrats in every state. I got a text, too, about his book. I got that text message also.
I think in general, I don't block because I want to keep an eye on these people and be aware when they're sending out shit like that. Sanders pissed me off so fucking much when after he endorsed Biden in 2020, the next thing he did was send out an appeal for money for his revolution. That was it. I blocked every communication coming from that quarter.
Yeah, I haven't gotten a Bernie text in a while, but I did get that one about his book. You know who texts me now?
I didn't get that.
I get the Trump campaign text because I signed up for text alerts when I was covering the New Hampshire primary because I had to sign up for his rally. I RSVP'd to his rally because I didn't know if it was going to be a venue where you had to show your RSVP to get onto the grounds to park and shit because some of the Trump venues are out in the middle of nowhere. So I signed up just in case. And so, yeah, now I get his text, too. I haven't figured out how to block that. Jackass Whiskey and Pinto Beans.
They come in all caps, random all caps.
Oh, yeah, always all caps. Yeah, I'm surprised I haven't gotten one today about the rally tonight. I'm sure I will. What was the last one? From Trump, it could all end tomorrow, so this can't wait. Are you voting for me again? I don't know what could all end tomorrow. That was on Sunday. Apparently, it didn't end tomorrow because he's still going. Palestine is recognized by 143 countries that don't have skin in the game. Thank you, Jackass Whiskey and Pianos. Florida Panthers. Go Florida Panthers from a New York Islander. Thank you, Charlie, for being a member. Appreciate that. CNN acting like John Bolton's votes matter to people. Yep, well, that's the game over there. Witness the power of the dark side. Darth Cheney. Thank you, Granite Liberty. Yes, indeed. That'd be a good campaign slogan. Jackass Whiskey and Pinto Beans. I am an isolationist.
Everything is proceeding as I have foreseen.
There you go. Dems would have undermined 2016-2020 general election nominee Bernie even more than they, and this includes Jimmy Carter, did against 72 nominee McGovern. Yes, Nixon's approval rating was 60 by election day. Yep. Yeah.
They never would have supported him.
No.
They would have made sure that he lost or done everything they could to ensure it.
Yeah, indeed. I was in combat in Iraq. I was the 3 ID as medic. I got the CMB. War is shattering yet alluring. War should not
3rd Infantry
be
Division.
There you go. Good goal. All right, so I guess that was a serious one, Jackass and Whiskey Pinto Beans. That was not a contrarian take there. Thank you. Living in Key Bellwether, Michigan, I get daily Democrat texts, I'm sure. I believe that. All right, folks, that's our show today. Thank you guys very much for being here. We appreciate you all. Russell's going to go hang out with the deplorables. I'm assuming we'll have some live stream stuff up on our Twitter page. So if you guys want to check in later, we'll be on and off of there throughout the rest of the day.
I will probably just, because it's just much easier for us with the footage, I will probably just live stream the actual rally and do interviews that I'll tape. So we will see. That should be interesting.
Yes, indeed. That'll be a lot of fun. Well, we had a fun time with you guys this morning. We had a fun week with you guys. Some decent news this week. Things looking slightly up this week, so that's good. We'll see what next week brings. We will see you guys all back here on the main channel Sunday evening at 7 p.m. Eastern. Until then, be safe, be well. Thanks very much for this morning.
Courage.
Please clap.